How's it going, everybody? Great to see everyone. Great to see everyone. The main topic that I want to talk about tonight, of course, is Bill C9, which continues to get closer and closer to being passed and is the most vicious assault on free speech in Canada's history. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Before I get into it, I just want to remind everybody to make sure you like, you subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate everybody who's here. How's it going, everybody? How's it going, everybody? I think that tonight, beyond a shadow of a doubt, what I have to start with tonight is the insanity that we've seen over these past couple of days. What's happened in Kuwait, with not many people actually being aware of the fact that Canada has a military base uh, in conjunction with the United States in Kuwait, and the fact that Iran hit our military base. Iran hit our military base on March 1st, and it took until March 12th. It took until yesterday for Mark Carney to acknowledge the fact that our military base has been hit. This is beyond a shadow of a doubt due to the fact that Carney wanted to sweep this under the rug. Carney did not want, that's exactly right, flip flop Carney. How's it going, everybody? This is beyond a shadow of a doubt due to the fact that Carney did not want Canadians to be aware of the fact that our military base, known as Camp Canada, was bombed by Iran. His statement was truly pathetic. They clearly were attempting to push this under the rug. The only reason that the Canadian people have any awareness that this happened was because there was a report in La Presse. That's the only reason the Canadian people are aware this happened. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, bro. Thanks everybody for being here. You're exactly right. Canada is a lesbian military leader. That's exactly, you're 100% right, Timothy. It's a complete embarrassment. If you have seen her statements in public on a consistent basis, she is apologizing for the misogyny and racism in Canada's military. Jenny Carnigan is her name. She is the senior most military official in Canada, and your description of her is absolutely correct. If Canada were a real country, the fact that the Prime Minister of Canada attempted to sweep under the rug that the largest terror state in the world struck a Canadian military base. Thank God no Canadians were killed in the process. But the fact that he attempted to sweep it under the rug and not mention it, as I said, had La Presse not made this report, Canadians would not have been aware of the fact that our base was struck in Kuwait. This should be a scandal that either takes him down, or certainly the quote directly from Mark Carney's mouth. I quote unquote verbatim, I am not the only spokesperson for this government. That should haunt him for the remainder of his time as prime minister if this was a real country. But because we're in Canada, and because a large portion of the population are sheep, this man is now headed overseas again. How's it going, J Mac? How's it going? Thanks so much for being here. How's it going, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great Friday night. How's it going, everybody? Great to see everybody. I want to remind everybody, please make sure that you like. It really helps me with the algorithm. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We're in for the fight for our lives in Canada right now. This is an attempted communist takeover of our country, but we are going to fight and we are going to win. Hey, Lilac Flowers. Hey, Yale. Good to see you. Hey, Lay. How's it going? Great. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. How's it going, everybody? I just want to send a quick reminder. Please like, subscribe. Really appreciate everybody's support. We are going to take this country back. Hey, Kat. How's it going, everybody? Great to see everybody. Hey, Marilyn. How's it going? Great to see everybody. Yeah, please smash that like. Make sure you're subscribed. Really appreciate everybody for being here. We are going to win. We are going to take this country back, but it's going to be a hell of a battle. It's going to be a hell of a battle. Mark Carney should not be allowed to appear anywhere in public. Thanks so much, bro. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Absolutely. We are going to take this country back. How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the supportive words. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, you mentioned the Al Quds march. Doug Ford is now trying to shut down that hate rally on our streets. You're absolutely right. How's it going, everybody? Great to see everybody. Wherever, thanks so much for the super chat, Lilac Flower Days. Thank you so much. We absolutely will take Canada back. You're 100% right. God bless. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Yeah, make sure everybody's like, subscribe, because everybody in Canada knows how corrupt our mainstream media is, how bought and paid for they are by the Liberal Party of Canada. CBC, CTV, you might as well go to the Liberal head of comms. It's an absolute joke. The propaganda that we have in this country would make Stalin, would make Lenin blush. So we need independent media. I so appreciate everybody who supports, and this is how we're going to do it. Independent media. Thanks so much, man in van. Thanks so much for the super chat, bro. God bless. God bless. Thank you so much. We are going to take this country back. I say that with 100% certainty. We are going to take this country back, but it's going to take independent media. It's going to take independent lawsuits, and it's going to take getting out in the streets. They are what I want to talk about mainly tonight is Bill C9, because the communist cowards. Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you for the super chat. God bless. Thank you so much, Sonia. I love the gift. Thank you so much, Sonia. Really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Bill C9, hey, Sonia. Bill C9 is the most extreme attack on Canada's liberties that we have ever seen in our life. And my strong suggestion is that if you are a patriotic Canadian, who loves this country, make sure first and foremost that you know your rights. How's it going, bro? Nice to see you. Make sure first and foremost that you know your rights. So if Carney's thugs show up at your door accusing you of a violation of the law, of hate speech, which we all know when they say hate speech, what they really mean is speech that they hate, speech that they disagree with. It's not hate speech to be a patriotic Canadian. It's liberals trying to shut down their political opponents. And we know that the communist playbook is always the exact same. They know that they can't win on the issues. They know that their policies are wildly unpopular. So what do they try and do? They know that they cannot win the debate democratically. They know how wildly unpopular their views are among Canadians. So what do? It's a two-pronged strategy. The first strategy is to import millions of foreigners in the country who overwhelmingly vote Liberal. Do you want to know why Mark Carney refuses to criticize Iran after they bomb Canadians in Kuwait? Do you want to know why Mark Carney says that Muslim values are Canadian values? Look up the statistics. They vote Liberal over 85% of the time. Over 85% of the time. It's the same communist playbook every time. They know. Hey, Salon, how's it going? Great to see you. They know. You're exact. That's very well put. The answer to 1984 is 1776. That's extremely well put. Extremely well put. I absolutely agree with you. They know that their policies are wildly unpopular and they cannot win through democracy. It's just a fact. They look at the polls. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Thank you so much. It's so motivating for me to get all the kind words from everybody coming in. I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate it. It's truly incredible, the amount of support, the number of patriotic Canadians who see what's happening in this country, who are awake. Thanks, Timothy. Who see what's happening in this country, who are awake to it, and who are fighting back. It is such an inspiration, and we are going to win. We absolutely are going to win, but it's going to be a heck of a battle. It's going to be a heck of a battle. So the two prongs that the Liberal government has is the importation of millions of foreign voters who overwhelmingly vote Liberal. The new arrivals to Canada vote overwhelmingly liberal. The vast majority of polls that I have seen have it somewhere between 80 and 85% of new arrivals vote liberal. So they import new voters. That's one of the two prongs. And then the second prong is that they attempt to. Thank you so much for the super chat, Shirley. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you so much for the Shirley chat. So appreciated. You're exactly right. That's a great way to put it, Marilyn. New arrivals are broad. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. You get used to it, Shirley. Sorry, Jeanette, you get used to it. I've done a few of these now. I've done a few of these now. So they import voters who vote overwhelmingly liberal for two reasons. A, they know that they're going to allow them to bring the rest of their family members into the country. And B, thank you so much for another super chat, Sonia. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you so much. I so appreciate the kind words of the super chats. Thank you so much. They invite them in. They invite them in because they know that they're going to overwhelmingly vote liberal. And then you're exactly right. You're exactly right. What they do is they offer them hundreds of millions of dollars of incentives. We spent over $1 billion. Thank you so much. And thank you for the super chat, Sonia. Thank you so much for the kind words, everybody. They bring people in who are overwhelmingly going to vote liberal. And then the second piece that, in my opinion, is more nefarious that we're seeing implemented now that actually I would like to fund an injunction to actually go to court because, in my opinion, Bill C-9 is strictly in violation of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Section 2B of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms explicitly states, I'm reading right now directly from Section 2B of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, protects freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication subject to justified limits under Section 1. So, in my opinion, Bill C-9, the so-called Combating Hate Act, explicitly violates Section 2B of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They are attempting to take away our ability to criticize the government. What we are going to start seeing in Canada is what we've seen in the UK on steroids, in my opinion. We are going in the UK right now. We're seeing about 30 arrests a day, a total of 12,000 arrests a year, mostly patriotic Brits who are criticizing the UK's immigration policy. You're exactly right. What is the difference between a human being and an animal if a human being cannot speak their conscience? They're trying to turn us into animals. You're exactly right. But Bill C-9, they are attempting to make it illegal to criticize the government, mainly two prongs, in my opinion. It's mainly going to target immigration policy as well as any criticism of Islam. I don't know if many of you have seen these Al-Quds Day rallies that are organized for tomorrow, but this is going to be a hate rally. This is going to be a so-called when you hear anti-colonial rally, no, it's anti-West. It is people who hate this country. And my question is always, if you hate Canada so much, if you hate the values, the Enlightenment period that built the greatest civilization in human history, then get the hell out. Why would you possibly want to be here? I always find it so funny, the new arrivals who arrive into Canada and then start calling us a colonial white supremacist society. Can you imagine showing up in the Middle East, showing up in Saudi Arabia, showing up in Iran, and immediately beginning to criticize Sharia law, immediately beginning to criticize the way that their societies function? You would be deported immediately or worse. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. There is no question about it. You would be deported, you would be jailed. In Canada, the level of insanity is off the charts. The fact that we invite people to this country that hate us, that hate our way of life, that think that we are white supremacists, colonialists, and let them march on our streets and burn Canadian flags and chant death to the West. This is a civilizational battle. As far as I'm concerned, if you're on our street chanting death to the West, burning Canadian flags, you should be deported beyond a shadow of a doubt. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. It is total insanity to invite people into your country who hate you, who want to take you down. This is a civilizational battle right now. Both the communists and the jihadists hate Canada and they want to destroy it. If we don't wake up and we don't wake up immediately, Canada as we've known and loved it is going to be gone. You're already seeing in the UK, they just banned in the UK 30 odd breeds of dogs. You're seeing over 300 Sharia courts in the UK. We will turn into a Muslim country within the next, I would say, shorter than 10 years if we don't do anything about it. And you know what? It's about largely right now, it's about these self-hating white people who have been psyoped into hating the West when they don't realize the liberals who champion these, particularly Muslims coming into the country, these Islamists, these jihadis coming into the country and chanting death to the West, I always think to themselves, my God, go try your luck in one of the 55 Muslim majority countries, particularly these clowns who claim to champion the LGBT community and minorities. Are you kidding me? Go to the Middle East. You will not last a week there. You will not last a week there. I can guarantee you that. I can absolutely guarantee that. Thanks so much for the super chat, Sonny. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you very much. Exactly. You ate pork today, 100%. We are not the Middle East. If you want to live in a society, if you want to walk around in a society where women are dressed up as though they were medieval executioners, then move to the Middle East. Those are not Canadian values. Yeah. The news of the job loss report. Yeah, we lost 84,000 jobs today. We have a man named Mark Carney who is supposedly some economist looking out for the best interest of the Canadian people. We lost 84,000 jobs, and they announced they're allowing another 15,000 temporary foreign workers into the country. And you know why that is? You know why they continue to allow more and more temporary foreign workers into the country against the Canadian people's will? It's because they're importing voters. They're importing voters. They know how unpopular they are among Canadians who have been here for a long period of time. So, this situation is getting so dire in this country that we need some extreme action, and we need some extreme action quickly, because Mark Carney has absolutely no scruples. He will continue to allow millions of people to pour into the country against the Canadian people's will. He will not remove. There are already 750,000 people in the country illegally, with between 2 and 3 million people whose visas are going to expire in the next year. We need to keep the pressure on. These people need to be removed from Canada, if for nothing else than the fact that these people overwhelmingly vote Liberal. We literally are going to have 4 million Liberal voters in the country who shouldn't be here, if for nothing else. And of course, there are many other reasons to not have them in the country, but chief among them right now is just the electoral power that they give the Liberal Party of Canada. The Liberal Party of Canada is only 2 seats away from having a majority after Lori Idlow crossed over, the former NDP member whose son was arrested and charged with child PORN, and who also received $500,000 in contracts from the Liberal government of Canada. The amount of backroom dealing, the amount of illegality that's gone on in Idlu, Matt Genero, these four floor crossings that we've now seen in the past couple of months, and they're only now 2 seats off from having a majority. And there's three by-elections coming off, and two of those three by-elections are a near guarantee. They're safe Liberal seats. So we are going to see a Liberal majority, despite the fact that they did not earn it electorally. Democracy in Canada every day is becoming more and more of a sham. We are living in a bought and paid for system in which the Canadian people are not represented. Mark Carney is a stooge for the WF, for Davos, for the Century Initiative. They want 100 million people in Canada. They want us to be a post-national state with no identity. The values that this country was founded on, and just there's no debate about it. Read the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, read about this country in 1867 and the lead up to it. We were founded on Christian values, on the British parliamentary system, and on common law. Those are Canadian values. When a Liberal comes up to you and says that, no, we're a multicultural country, multiculturalism does not exist. Multiculturalism is a WEF Davos psyop. That's what it is. You either have a culture as a country or you don't. There's no such thing as a multicultural country. Do not let them psyop you. That's another WEF Davos talking point. They will tell you we're a multicultural country. We're a multicultural country until you watch. They will bring Sharia law to Canada at some point, and the jihadis will cry about empathy and about minority rights until they're a majority. That I can tell you with 100% certainty. It's such a joke, this idea of white colonialism. Whites make up about 10% of the total global population. The real colonizers throughout world history have been the Muslims. Look at what's gone on in Africa. They've colonized all of Africa. They've colonized all of the Middle East. If we don't wake up in the West, we are being colonized right now. The values that the West were built on, the Enlightenment values, the values that have built the greatest civilizations in the history of the world are Christian values, the British parliamentary system, which started with the Magna Carta in the late 1200s, and common law, everybody being looked at as equals in front of God. These are our values. Don't let them psyop you with this multiculturalism BS. You either have a culture or you don't. There is no such thing as multiculturalism. It's just a way for them to continue to allow millions of people to pour into the country. And when you point out the facts, when you point out what they are actually doing to Canada, they'll just call you a racist, a sexist. The good news is nobody cares about that garbage anymore. Nobody cares about that garbage anymore. Absolutely. Beware being called a racist, a sexist, or a xenophobe as a badge of honor in this society. Our society has become a clown world. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that if we don't fight back, if we don't push back now, we will be a Muslim majority country. Absolutely, within the next 5 to 10 years. Yes, keep praying. Please, how's it going, everybody? Please make sure you smash that like button. It really helps me with the algorithm. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. Thank you so much. Hey, John, how's it going? Great to see you. And also, guys, just to mention, I was banned on TikTok with about 50,000 followers, but I just started one up again. So if you're not following me on TikTok, make sure you follow me on TikTok as well. I just created a duplicate account. The link is up on my YouTube as well. It's tiktok.com/@FightForCanada2028. Oh, sorry, @FightForCanada8. Fight for Canada 8. I'll put the link in here. Thank you so much for the super chat, Yale. Really appreciate it, bro. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna put my my TikTok in here. But what they are attempting to do. Sorry, it's a slash, not a question mark. It's a slash, not a question mark. But we need to stand up every time that they pull this multicultural BS and let them know, no, we have a culture in Canada. This country was founded on Christian values, the British parliamentary system, and common law. That's what this country was founded on. Multiculturalism is not a culture whatsoever. It's a psyop from the WF Davos stooges. And we can never let Carney play down this quote that I am not the only spokesperson for the government. Can you imagine any self-respecting country have their commander in chief, have their leader after our military base was bombed, give a response of I am not the only spokesperson for this government after trying to bury it? Had La Presse not reported on the fact that Iran had bombed our military base, the Liberal Party of Canada would have absolutely buried this. I tell you that with 100% certainty. They would never have reported it. Canadians would never have known. As far as I'm concerned, in any self-respecting country, Mark Carney would be forced to resign. He has shown such disrespect to the greatest among us, to our soldiers, to the ones who protect our freedoms. Such disrespect, not only to our current soldiers, but also to the soldiers who fought and died for this country, World War I, World War II. Mark Carney is a globalist banker who's selling Canada out to benefit himself personally. You look at every single international trip that this man goes on, he's signing deals for Brookfield Asset Management every single trip that he goes on. When he was in India, he met with the Tata Group. When he was in Japan, he signed a new $550 million deal with Brookfield. When he's in Denmark, he's working on a $227 million deal. Then he's on vacation. This man has spent over $2 million on international trips. He's outside of the country more than he's inside the country. He doesn't even consider himself a Canadian. The fact that he is our prime minister is a national embarrassment. This man needs to be removed as soon as possible. We need an election as soon as possible. And we also need an election, not only an election, but a total moratorium on immigration and a removal of the people who are here illegally. Because if they continue importing 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million people who vote Liberal overwhelmingly, the voting base is going to be so diluted that it's going to be impossible to take them out because the new arrivals vote so overwhelmingly for the Liberal Party of Canada. The most recent statistics I have seen have over 85% of new arrivals voting for the Liberal Party of Canada. They are literally in this country replacing the voter base with people who hate the West. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it before. The number of people walking around this country dressed up as though they were medieval executioners is truly shocking, and it's anti-Canadian. These are not Canadian values. So in terms of Bill C9, I think that our best next steps are to mount a legal challenge because in my estimation, it is clear as day that Bill C9 violates Section 2B of our Charter and Rights and Freedoms. Section 2B explicitly protects Canadians' right to freely express themselves through all means of media. And Bill C9 fundamentally attacks what makes us human beings, what allows us to express our conscience. It is a blatant and overwhelming attack on our most fundamental right. In my estimation, there is not. Yeah, exactly. Of course, yeah. Of course, there are. Yeah, but of course, and I will never stop posting. And my suggestion is, I would never stop posting. And if Carney Stasi ever shows up to my door, I would record it. Absolutely, I would rather die a free man than be shut up by the government of Canada. Absolutely. These new hate speech laws, they are 1984 on steroids. They would make Stalin blush. They would make Lenin blush. Absolutely. It's a complete assault on our most fundamental freedom. In my estimation, there is no more fundamental of freedom than the right to freely express yourselves. First of all, hate is a human emotion. And hate right now is a completely justifiable emotion for many Canadians to be feeling. The idea that the government of Canada could legislate away the emotion of hate is such a farce, such a joke, so ridiculous on its face. If I want to hate something, I'll hate whatever the hell I want. That's a God-given right that we have. The government of Canada cannot go to any Canadian citizen and say, it's illegal for you to hate this. It's illegal for you to hate that. No, hate is a human emotion. The government has absolutely nothing to do with the emotions that I feel. Get the hell out of my face. I will hate whoever the hell I want. Hate is actually a great tool for survival. Humans feel the emotion of hate for a reason. When humans see their liberty being stolen from them, their human dignity attempted to be stolen from them through control, hate is a perfectly rational thing to feel. When Canadians see armies of Islamist invaders walking through our streets, rolling fake body bags with fake babies, chanting death to Canada, chanting intifada in our lifetime, which means violent revolution and death to the West. That is hate. If you don't feel hate, you're not feeling the correct emotions. The government has absolutely no right. The government has absolutely no right to moderate the emotions that the Canadian people feel. Just because they're dead-eyed bugs who don't have the ability to see the country being stolen from right in front of them. Thank you so much, Teresa, for the super chat. Thank you so much. God bless. So appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But the idea that the government of Canada has the ability to legislate hate out, get the hell out of my face. I'll hate whoever the hell I want. See, this is what the government of Canada doesn't understand. They don't see the difference between actions and words. They support people in our streets being physically violent with others, weapons, depending on what category of people they are. That is obviously unacceptable. Whatever I want to say, whatever I want to communicate to you guys, whatever you guys want to communicate to me, that has nothing to do with the government. That's our God-given right as human beings to communicate how we feel. And if that includes hate, then that's absolutely fine. As I said, hate is an emotion that is incredibly healthy. Hate has built much of the West. Are you kidding me? Do you think this civilization that we currently live in could have been built without hate? I don't think so. I think that many of the greatest leaders in human history were motivated by hate. And you don't have a survival instinct if you don't look at what's going on right now in the West should be met with hate. Like what's happening if the liberals, if these woke phonies want to talk about colonization so much, well, then we're being colonized right now because the Canadian people do not want 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 million people into the country coming in right now. The vast majority of Canadians that I speak with don't want anybody coming into the country. We're perfectly happy. We're perfectly happy with how things are in Canada, with how things were in Canada 20 years ago. We could have the greatest country in the world. We have the fourth largest oil reserves. We have 10 of the 12 critical minerals that are needed. We have the most fresh water in the world. We are so incredibly well situated, and we're perfectly happy with the country we have. We don't want 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million people who, in large part, hate us coming into the country. And thanks so much. Thanks so much, bro. And hate is a perfectly reasonable emotion to feel when you see what's going on in this country. So the idea that these communist pansies are going to come in and tell us what emotions we're allowed to feel and what emotions we're not allowed to feel is an absolute joke. Are you kidding me? All of a sudden in Canada, we need to walk around and see hundreds of people dressed up as medieval executioners burning Canadian flags, promoting values that have nothing to do with Canada. I want nothing to do with people whose life goal is to submit to Allah and think that anybody who doesn't submit to Allah is an infidel. Yes, I hate that worldview. That worldview disgusts me, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the West. It has absolutely nothing to do with those Western values. Those values have attempted to colonize everywhere they have. And the only reason the West wasn't colonized was because our ancestors stood up and fought against these extremists, The jihadis have colonized all of Africa, all of the Middle East. Now they are attempting to do it to the West. And we need to stand up and say, Hell no, the same way that our ancestors did during the Crusades. It's incredibly basic. It's a self-preservation. It's self-preservation, and hate leads to self-preservation. It's the idea that the government of Canada is going to tell us who we are and are not allowed to hate is an absolute joke. So what I want to do is I want to, yeah, countrywide protests I'm totally in favor of, as well as I'm going to mount a legal challenge. I'm going to attempt to mount a legal challenge to Bill C9 in that it is a clear violation of Section 2B of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But I worry that with our electoral system, with how the Liberals have jigged the system, totally ruined the system by importing millions of people who far and away overwhelmingly vote Liberal because it will allow them to import all of their family members, and they hate the West. I fear that I'm not sure if we can do it electorally. I'm hoping that Donald Trump, who already took out one commie in Venezuela, will look at what's happening here, because I fear that it may well be too late. But I'm totally with you. We have to have massive protests on the streets about what's going on. Oh, I'm absolutely. Do not let the government take your firearms. It's not a coincidence that the government of Canada is attempting to take away our firearms and our free speech. Do not give away your firearms. Do not stop speaking your mind. It is, I know there's real men in this chat who totally agree with me. I'd rather die a free man than live in SLAVE. It's 1,000 times better to die a free man than to live as an SLAVE. And that's exactly what they're turning you into. They're telling you about Islamophobia, about protecting the LGBTQ community, all this woke BS, at the same time as they're trying to restrict your speech, restrict what you're allowed to say, and take your guns. They are the extremists. We are not the extremists. We are the Western values that we were built on is rugged individualism. This collectivist, communist garbage has absolutely nothing to do with the values that Canada was founded on. Canada was founded on rugged individualism. The group of settlers who showed up here and built this incredible civilization, what do you think? It was some sort of a fairy tale when they arrived and the Indigenous were here? Are you joking me? It was brutal. It was brutal killing all over the place by the Indigenous. There was no civilization. The idea that somebody would compare the immigrants who are arriving now to the settlers who arrived in this country 160 years ago is a complete joke. They are here to leech off a system and a civilization that's already built. The settlers built the civilization on the values of rugged individualism, Christian values, every man being the same in front of God, the British parliamentary system, common law. Those are the values that built this country. They have absolutely nothing in common to the people who arrive here now to leech off of the system and who hate it, who are anti-West. Do not ever let anybody gaslight you into comparing the settlers who came, the Francophones and the Anglophones who came and built this country in 1867 during the Enlightenment period, the late 1700s, and the new arrivals now. Those people love this land. Those people built a civilization, as I've said on several occasions, on the three prongs of Christian values, of the British parliamentary system, and of common law, of rugged individualism. That's what built this country. The people who are now arriving hate the West. They are here to destroy it, and they are here to leech off of the system. There is absolutely no comparison between the two groups. No comparison between the two groups. The only good news, Donald Trump, and I pray that someday Donald Trump sees this message. Our military is so pathetic and so weak due to having communists in charge. We've only spent 1.3% of our total GDP on military. We're now bringing in foreign mercenaries. They want to bring in 15,000 foreign mercenaries, and I guarantee you those will be used by the Chinese to turn us into even more of a vassal state of China than we already are. We would be so easy for Donald Trump to come in and take this country over, and you would be greeted as liberators. If Donald Trump were to come to Canada and implement the exact same policies, the exact same moratorium on immigration. Donald Trump has completely shut down immigration to the United States, and he is deporting and removing people illegally. We need the exact same we need the exact same thing here in Canada. We need the exact same thing in Canada. Donald Trump is one of the very few Western leaders who's actually standing up for the West. Donald Trump, thank God Donald Trump is doing what he's doing. Can you imagine if Kamala Harris was the president of the United States right now? They would have allowed another 15 million people in the country. You'd never see a Republican elected again. The values that built America would be permanently done for. This idea that people want to rely on the government is not your friend. Our civilization was built out of rugged individualism. Of course, people work together. People are all look the same in front of God. But the idea that we have this pluralistic state is such a joke. When they talk about accepting different religions in 1867, when this country was founded, it was between the Protestants and the Catholics. They said our country has nothing to do with jihadis, with Sharia law, with submission to Allah. The Muslim religion has nothing to do with Christianity. Absolutely nothing. They demand complete and total submission. They support violence against the infidel. Muhammad was a wildly violent man. You look at how he went over after so-called infidels. It has nothing to do with Christianity. The man was with a 9-year-old girl, Aisha. These values have absolutely nothing to do with Christian values. And now you are going to be seeing tomorrow on Al-Quds Day this hate speech, these Canada haters on our streets. These protests, these Al-Quds protests should be shut down. You support Al-Quds, you support the Ayatollah, you support the mullahs, you support these jihadis. Get the hell out. You don't belong in Western civilization. That's the one thing that we could take from these 55 Muslim majority countries is have some self-respect and say, if you hate our civilization, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for the kind words, guys. I so appreciate it. Oh, yeah, I'm not stopping fighting. Absolutely. I'm not stopping fighting. Guys, please remember it really helps me. I so appreciate everybody does. Make sure to remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned to the channel. There's so much exciting stuff coming down the pipe. We are going to fight. We are going to take this country back, but it's going to be a hell of a battle. And a lot of it is going to have to be done through independent media because all mainstream media in Canada is bought and paid for by the corrupt Liberal Party of Canada. The CBC receives $1.5 billion to brainwash the citizens of this country. You're exactly right. That's exactly what. Why would Trump allow an enemy on his doorstep? Mark Carney is turning Canada into, thank you so much for the kind words, guys. I so appreciate it. Yeah, they tell you not to hate, yet they support Islamists. There's no religion that's more full of hate than Islam. You look at the way Muslims that Muhammad dealt with infidels, there's no religion that is more full of hate. So get out of here with this hate stuff. No, Christians in Canada have every right to feel hateful right now. It's called self-preservation. But Mark Carney is turning us into a vassal state of the Chinese. Donald Trump, from a very serious vantage point, he knows and he sees that he is turning. They are seeing on the northern border an enemy state. Are you kidding me? The words that Mark Carney has said to essentially dissing the United States for taking out the #1 exporter of terror. I think that Canada, in all likelihood, as sad as it is to say, our only hope may well be to become the 51st state of the United States of America and have renewed freedom because these communists are cutthroat. These communists are cutthroat, and we have too many stupid Canadians who are not realizing the fact that we are being turned into a vassal state of China. There's going to be 24,000 spy cars already in this country. We cannot defend the North. There's absolutely zero chance that we can defend the North. Our military is so degraded. We are becoming more and more of a vassal state for the Chinese Communist Party. Mark Carney is a communist. We're seeing the Red-Green Alliance in Canada between the jihadis and the communists, and we are turning into a Chinese vassal state. And why would the Americans allow that to happen on their northern border? Why the heck would we? No, but I agree with you that we are too weak and woke. But the good thing, the only good thing about that is the fact that the woke people are so weak. The woke people are so weak that they will go with the wind. Trust me on this. The vast majority of woke DEI people are incredibly weak. If we can get the momentum going and change the conversation in this country, these are not strong people that have strong values that will stand up to us. These are the weakest people, I would argue, that have ever existed. These are people who think that they should be legislating their feelings. Oh, my feelings got hurt. You need to introduce new bills that people are, they literally say we should be introducing bills so it is illegal for people to say things that hurt their feelings. That is how weak these people are. God bless, J Mac. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for the super chat, J Mac. So appreciate it. These people are so weak, are so goddamn weak, but that is a great thing for us. That is a great thing for us. You're absolutely right. I do need a Canadian flag. I'm actually going to stick a Canadian flag up. Just so you guys are aware, I stream every single Wednesday, Friday, Sunday night at 7 p.m. Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. God bless. I am going to have a Canadian flag out back very soon. I'm going to get it in the next couple of days. I'm going to get a much more legit setup. No, I totally agree. I want to get a Canadian flag, as well as, if anybody's interested, I'm going to be getting more Fight for Canada t-shirts, because I want to wear it everywhere I go, because just a fact of the matter is we're in a propaganda battle. And the propaganda is so strong up against us because the CBC steals $1.5 billion a year from Canadian taxpayers. There's so many brainwashed people. We need to start winning the propaganda battle, and that's what Donald Trump was so good at. Yeah, an Alberta flag would be amazing, 100%. Donald Trump was so good with getting that "Make America Great Again," the propaganda piece all out there. We have to do the exact same thing with the conservative movement in Canada, get our propaganda out there. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it, Kimberly. Thanks so much. Yeah, exactly. The pride flag is the new flag in Canada. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And Carney is, how many people agree with me? Like Carney, there's something off with this man. You almost get a shiver up your spine just watching the man speak. He's so spineless. He's so spineless, and he clearly doesn't stand for anything except for, yeah, I'm with you. The end sign, absolutely, I'm with you. He is a demon. And when you read into Carney's family history and you look at the fact that he sent his young child to Tavistock, which is now defunct because they found that what they were doing to children did not have legitimate science behind it. It is so repulsive. These demons. I'm totally with you. Mark Carney, there is absolutely something wrong with that man. The fact that he sent his child to Tavistock, the fact that they're still giving out hormones to such young children in this country. And did you notice how they memory hold that shooting out in BC, that brutal shooting? Thanks so much, Vince in Nova Scotia. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. 25% of our workforce now works in the government, record high. That's another way that they gain power. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But Mark Carney is a very dark fellow, a very dark individual. He also is at Tumbler Ridge. You're exactly right. That got memory hold so incredibly quickly in this country. We are handing out hormones to children as young as 14. We are handing out hormones to younger children than anywhere in the Western world. Anywhere in the Western world. It is disgusting. Have you seen the type of propaganda that the CBC shows to 3, 4, 5-year-old children, talking about you choose if you're a boy or a girl? It's disgusting. It's demonic. There's no other way, in my opinion, to describe it. Again, that's another thing that Trump is fighting against in the United States of America. Yeah, Big Mike, you're exactly right. Well, have you guys seen Mark Carney's wife? I don't know what, she has a pretty big she has a pretty big Adam's apple. Something ain't quite right with Mark Carney's wife. And also the fact that he has mentioned 69 times in the Epstein files, he was close friends with both Prince Andrew as well as Ghislaine Maxwell. it's disgusting. It's disgusting. The Canadian media will never ask him about it. Both his wife Diana Fox and her sister Tanya Fox show up in Epstein's little black book, as it's called. There are so many ties there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And yeah, Macron's wife, you should check it out. I think Macron's wife met him when she was 45 and he was 15 or something. If she has an apple, she has a banana. That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah, and have you noticed how in the West, whether it's Macron, whether it's Starmer, whether it's Carney, thank you so much for the super chat, Gemma. Much appreciated. Have you noticed how it's always these effeminate men? That cannot be a coincidence. Every single time, every one of these leaders are these effeminate men. Like, I don't want to know what's going on in Carney's personal life, but I can tell you with nearly 100% strap on, Diana. I can tell you with nearly 100% certainty there is some weird stuff going on, and then just the way that Carney speaks with the constant it's embarrassing. People say, "Oh, he's so smart. He's a genius." No, you can just tell, like, the way that somebody lives their private life does come out, obviously, in the way that they present themselves publicly. You can't fake it. You know what I mean? If you're doing weird stuff in your private life, it's going to come out publicly when you're speaking. You know what I mean? People can't hide it. You can't hide it. And Carney is just the type of guy. You can tell, like, there's some weird stuff with that guy. The way that he presents and the way that he's apparently some intelligent guy who went to these fancy universities and is the governor, Bank of England, but he can't get through 2 words without saying, uh, it's like, no, we're being psyoped here in Canada. The idea that this guy is some sort of a genius, that it's absolutely not true. The WF Davos, I have a theory. My theory is that they only recruit people, they only allow people to be installed as leaders in the Western world if there's something very creepy and wrong with him. And I have no doubt in my mind, I think I have a pretty good radar for this type of stuff. Carney is a very creepy man. I am sure that the WF Davos, that his paymasters have a lot of dark stuff on him, which is why they fought so hard again. Yeah, it's Zach. It is so obvious that the reason they fought so hard against Trump, say what you want about Trump. Trump is a alpha male who fights for the American people, which is why they fought against him so hard. Trump is the only man who, if you even looking in our society, testosterone levels in men over the past 30 years have dropped so precipitously. Trump is the only, like, man's man. Trump is the only guy who you can tell, if you mess with that guy, he'll punch you in the face. You know what I mean? He will fight for what he believes in. He actually has beliefs and he will fight. Whereas like, you know what I mean? Trump is absolutely like that archetype of guy who will fight for what he believes in. But they hate those types of men so strongly because they actually do stand for values. Whereas, can you see Mark Carney standing for absolutely anything? No. Mark Carney stands for nothing but his bank account. He is weak. He is effeminate. He is not fighting for the Canadian people. It's never been so obvious. It's never been so obvious. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is perfect, but he's a fighter. My God, the amount of slings and arrows that man has had to fight through is incredible, is absolutely incredible. 99.9% of people would have given up, but this man is a fighter through and through every single day for the American people. I truly believe that, for the American people. He wants what's best for America. Does anybody genuinely think that Mark Carney thinks that Mark Carney is fighting for the Canadian people? Mark Carney is a globalist banker who doesn't even think of himself as a Canadian. What do you think Mark Carney would even define the Canadian people as? Mark Carney would say, oh, they're white supremacists, they're colonials. Mark Carney is not fighting for us. If you don't love your people, you shouldn't be the leader. The only reason to have a leader is to have somebody who loves their people and who fights for them. That's the only reason to have a prime minister, a president. Otherwise, there's no point. There's absolutely no point. You have to be a fighter for your people. Hey, people, wake up. These WF Davos woke morons think we live in an imaginary world. This is a brutal world. This is a brutal world where you need to fight for everything that you have. And our government is a representation of the people. So your government should be fighting for your people. That's the only reason for a government to exist, is for their government to fight for their people. Mark Carney is doing the exact opposite of that. Mark Carney talks down. Yeah, Mark Carney is smart in a Weasley way. Absolutely. I don't doubt that from a sheer IQ perspective, but the WF Davos, Justin Trudeau, the one time he actually did speak truthfully was when he said that he wanted to turn Canada into a post-national state. And post-national states will not exist for very long. Post-national states, you're seeing this happen in the UK. You're seeing this happen across Europe. They are going to become Sharia law Muslim states because, as I said, there's no such thing as multiculturalism in the long term. Multiculturalism is a buzzword that they throw at you to get you off the set. You either have a culture or you don't. There's no such thing as this massive mishmash of cultures. Read a book on human history. This idea that we're going to have this mishmash of all of these different cultures in this post-colonial state is an absolute joke, and it is going to wind up in civil war with one faction fighting against another. You either have a culture or you don't. Just a reminder for everybody, first of all, I will have a Canadian flag behind me for my next live stream. Absolutely. Thank you for the reminders. I am live every single Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for everybody who supports Fight for Canada. A reminder that I am live every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. Make sure you're following me on TikTok as well as YouTube. I just started up my TikTok account. So if you're not, make sure you're following me on TikTok. And thank you so much for everybody who's here, everybody who engages. I so appreciate it. The multiculturalism is an absolute joke. It doesn't exist. Multiculturalism is a psyop, a bridge. Thank you so much. So appreciate it, guys. It's a psyop. It's a bridge that is going to get us into eventually. You look at it, the UK is already becoming a Muslim majority country. The UK is already becoming a Muslim majority country. You're seeing the same thing in Europe. They are being colonized. They are being taken down. We need to fight for Canadian values. Canada is not built on multiculturalism. That's a Pierre Trudeau psyop. Pierre Trudeau started that psyop, another communist. The communists always talk about multiculturalism. No, Canada was founded on Christian values, on the British parliamentary system, on common law, on rugged individualism. These are Canadian values. The right to speak your mind is a Canadian value. Get out of my face with your multicultural WF Davos BS. That has nothing to do with the values that built this country. And Canadians are fed up of it. They're sick of being gaslit by these guys like Mark Carney, who have spent their entire life traveling the globe, getting themselves as rich as possible while they hollow out the countries that they work in. In Canada in 1970, 53% of 30-year-olds were married and owned a house. In 1970, 53% of Canadian 30-year-olds were married and owned a house. In 2026, that statistic is 13%. 13%. That's because communists have infiltrated. Communists have infiltrated the West. They are teaming up with the jihadis to destroy our civilization. It is beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's perfectly put. That's perfectly put. Multiculturalism is the new religion for the West, but multiculturalism is just bridging the gap until we get to what will be Sharia law, Muslim law, more colonization from these Islamists, where you will have to follow Sharia law or you will dealt with. Thanks so much, Michael. I'd love to come to Utah. Really appreciate it, bro. Really, really appreciate it. Don't be psyop from multiculturalism. It's a bridge to live in a gay, communist, jihadi state. No, multiculturalism has nothing to do with Canadian values. Canadian values are Christian values, the British parliamentary system, common law, being able to speak your conscience, rugged individualism. Obviously, there's more than that, but fundamentally, those are the values that built this country. Those are the values that built this country. Absolutely. Somebody said IRGC Ayatollah family has fled from Iran heading to Canada. I've seen literal former Ayatollah members walking through the airport, video of them walking through the airport in Canada. Of course, we are inviting them in. Tomorrow, you guys, everybody stay tuned. Tomorrow is Al Quds Day, and I guarantee you we are going to see incidences throughout the country. Exactly. F the Ayatollah, F the mullahs. These people have absolutely nothing to do with Canadian values, and they want to see the destruction of Western civilization. That's what their end goal is. Their end goal is down with Canada. They think we are evil, colonialist, racist. Take them at face value. Believe them when they say it. They hate us and they are attempting to take us down. That's their goal. And our traitors in our government continue to invite them in. They are inviting the enemy into our gates. It's disgusting. It's beyond disgusting what's going on in this country. Our leadership, the Liberal Party of Canada, are traitors. There's no other way to define them. That's what they are. They are traitors. They refuse to acknowledge. Mark Carney, think about this. Mark Carney is willing to come out and say Muslim values are Canadian values, yet he's not willing to say that Canada was built on Christian values. Just think about that. Think about how insane that is. First of all, God is written into the first sentence of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The first sentence of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Read what the founders were talking about. They were all either Protestants or Catholics. They were all Protestants or Catholics, and they were building on the Magna Carta. They were all either Anglophones or Francophones who arrived in this country in the late 17th century. They have nothing to do with the immigrants arriving now. These were settlers who arrived who loved this country, and built it into the civilization that we have today. They have absolutely nothing to do with the takers who hate the West, who now arrive now, the Islamists, the jihadis who arrive to take from the system, who hate the West. There is absolutely zero connection between the new arrivals to Canada today and the arrivals to Canada in the late 17th century. Do not let them gaslight you into that comparison, because it's totally untrue. And don't be gaslit too by there are a lot of extremists who try to skin suit the fact that they are not jihadis, the fact that they are not communists. They try to skin suit it, but they are here to destroy Canada. Look into Takia. I know a lot of you will be familiar with Takia already, but it literally allows them. They are allowed to come here and lie while they're taking over. Like it's total BS. And yeah, I don't get this. I'm not with this whole. I know it's very popular now for some people to hate the Jews. That's not me. I'm the wrong guy. If you're looking for a guy to hate Jews, then you have the wrong guy. That's not me. The Jews have nothing to do with the destruction of the West. They do not, as far as I'm concerned, want to destroy Canada. The issues that I see in this country is the immigration from the Middle East, from these extremists, from these jihadis. That is my opinion. I know for some people on the right now, it's become popular to hate Jews, but I'm that's not me. If you're a Jew hater, then I'm not the guy for you. Go watch Nick Fuentes or something like that. You know what I mean? Go watch one of those guys. I'm not your man. I'm sorry, I'm not your man. But the idea that now the current immigrants arriving to this country are in any way similar to the settlers who arrived in Canada is a total psyop, a total false comparison. The settlers built a civilization from absolutely nothing, whereas the people who are arriving now are here to take, and they hate the West. And if you look at the number, I guarantee you tomorrow on Al Quds Day, the number of Canadian flags that are being burned, the chance of death to Canada, death to the West, the idea that Islam is a religion of peace. I have read, Austin, welcome, man. Thanks for tuning in. When you read through the Quran, the amount of violence that's not only allowed but is promoted, the amount of violence that's not only allowed but is promoted against so-called infidels. And the funny thing I see when people debate Jews versus the Muslims, I don't see Jews throwing nail bombs at people. Whenever I see these extremists who are coming and throwing these IEDs, blowing people up, driving cars in the West into people, it's always jihadis. So, like I said, I'm personally not interested in Jew hate. If that's your thing, I think Christians and Jews have always worked fantastically together. Go watch somebody else. You know what I mean? It's that's not my thing. You can go watch Nick Fuentes or somebody like that. If you're looking for that style of rhetoric, that will never be me. Jews and Christians have always worked fantastically together. I think it's a Muslim psyop to attempt to get Jews and Christians fighting with one another. That's what they're trying to do, to take the attention off the fact that they're the ones who are always throwing bombs in our civilizations. I have counted now. There was another shooting yesterday in Michigan. There was another shooting in Michigan. We've seen a bunch of shootings in Canada. The property of a law guy down in Texas. We see it time and time and time again. I've seen these hate rallies up close time and time again on our soil. Fake body bags, fake blood on their hands. Those are the people who are the enemies of Western civilization. If you look at what's happening, we hate commies here. Absolutely. We absolutely hate commies. If you look in the Middle East, it's so funny. The idea that Israel is this colonialist power. Israel is this incredibly small, there's nothing, and they're surrounded by 55 Muslim countries. And the idea that the Jews are the colonizers is an absolute joke to me. They're surrounded by Muslim countries. When you look into the history of Islam, they have colonized every single place that they've gone. All of Africa has been colonized. The entirety of Africa has been colonized. Like it's truly shocking when you look through the history. They are here to colonize the West right now, in my estimation. And unless we start fighting back, I really think we're going to be in trouble. Okay, guys. So a reminder, I'm going to have my Canadian flag up 100% next time on Sunday. We should have some very interesting stuff coming up. We have this Al Quds coming up. We have this Al Quds coming up tomorrow. So I think there's going to be a bunch of terrorists, a bunch of IRCG on our streets right now. On our streets tomorrow. They already know that there are thousands of IRCG members that have been invited into Canada. So it should sadly be very interesting to see what goes on tomorrow on our streets with all these anti-Western haters out there. It's disgusting. Okay, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, it's a huge waste of money. It's a ridiculously massive waste of money. We're spending millions of dollars for this Al Quds garbage on our streets. But I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for everybody who's been here. The next time I will be live is Sunday at 7 o'clock. Sunday at 7 o'clock, I'll be live. I'll 100% have my Canadian flag up. Yeah, I will give you my email, guys. If anybody is interested in reaching out to me, I'm posting out YouTube videos every day. Thank you so much, everybody who supports. I so appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for being here. God bless, guys. I will see you guys Sunday at 7 p.m. Feel free to shoot me an email if anybody has any questions. We are going to move in the right direction. It's an exciting time for Canadian patriots, Canadian conservatives who want to take this country back. We are going to fight and we are going to win. We are going to fight. Thanks so much, Marilyn. We are going to fight and we are going to win. God bless, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully I will see everybody on Sunday night. God bless. Thanks so much. Night, guys. See you on Sunday.